going on? My name is Ricky. I go by Ricky HD. My shop is Ricky HD Performance. I'm located in Tampa, Florida, and I am an independent custom motorcycle builder, specifically Harleys. I don't really fuck around with jet bikes or scooters. It's just not my thing. The way I came into doing the custom motorcycle shit was kind of unorthodox and kind of out of the norm for most people. So as a kid, I was a little fucking asshole. I like to do shit that would give me some crazy adrenaline and would possibly kill me. So all the other kids had bikes, but they never did anything to them. They just kept them like it was, or they got some pegs or maybe something like that. But I was constantly like, no, fuck that. I'm not gonna have the same bike as somebody else down the road. So I started spray painting them. I'd put baseball cards in the tire. I did whatever I could to make this mine and make it different. And people would be like, man, what the hell? As a kid, I would do that. And then other kids would be like, damn dog, like your fucking bikes fly. You wanna do something to mine? So I started doing shit to theirs. And then I got into dirt bikes. And the same thing happened. I got obsessed with making it faster, making it fucking flashier. I wanted to have a one-of-a-kind that when people looked at it, they were like, yep, that's Ricky's bike. That was kind of like the beginning of where my love for motorcycles and customization came from. As a broke kid, you know, you can't really afford all the performance parts, so you'd fucking either make your own or buy them used or whatever the case may be, and I started doing that. Fast forward, I go in the Marine Corps, and that's the Marine Corps story. You know, I didn't really have a lot of time to fuck with bikes and do that thing. And then from there, I was like, fuck, I need to go to school. They're gonna pay me to go to school, so why not? So I went to school, and I got my AA, then I got my bachelor's, and then I got my master's of science, then I got my MBA in sport and entertainment management. So from the sport and entertainment management world, I went to work for the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I was like, oh my God, this shit sucks. People think that, oh, because you're working in sports, it's gonna be super rad and an awesome job, but it didn't, it sucked. I'm not into cubicles, I'm not into conversing with people that I do not give a shit about. I'm not into hearing like their cheese dick stories or who's on my fantasy football team. I just do not give a shit. Didn't really work out, wasn't really a good fit for that, so then I started working for this media company because that's really, a lot of my background is in media. And it was the same thing. I was like, man, I'm not cut out for this white collar shit. I get fired from that job, and then I go to work for Wounded Warrior Project. I'm like, well, fuck, I'm a Wounded Warrior. Let me go work for Wounded Warrior Project. Well, they had a problem because, you know, I was doing events, and I was doing events for combat wounded Purple Heart guys, specifically because I thought that's what we're doing at Wounded Warrior Project, and they had their own political agenda about a bunch of other shit of like cheese dicks that never deployed and all this other shit. So I got fired from that job. So I was like, fuck, where am I gonna go? After I got fired from there, I went to Harley Davidson and I was like, well, this should be a fucking perfect place for me. Go to Harley, and I'm doing pretty well there, and I'm starting to look at like flaws in the dealership. I'm like, dude, y'all's marketing sucks. Your events suck, you know, and I started to assert myself. Started making my own videos for them. I started putting my flyers for them. I started doing everything outside of my wheelhouse that I was supposed to be doing for a job. I was doing everything else. Well, apparently the corporate side of that did not like it. They didn't like that I'm basically helping out the dealership in my way because they have their own little standards of fuckboy shit. So I got fired from that. And that's when I had a light bulb and I was like, well, fuck it, dude. Harley is crazy expensive. Their techs usually just go off the book and they don't know little nuances of the M8 motor, the twin cam motor, the fucking Evo motor. You know, there's some techs that are super savvy, and then the majority of the techs at Harley are just guys that graduated MMI. They look at the little book and they just do, okay, 14 inch pounds, but they don't really understand the concept of the mechanics of the motorcycle based on what motor it is. The other thing was that Harley is regulated by EPA regulations and cannot produce or build fucking hot ass motorcycles. They just can't do it because they have to abide by EPA. So that was that. And then their service sucks. Their people suck. I was like, fuck Harley, I'm gonna do this myself. So I started Ricky HD Performance. When I did, I originally started doing installs and services and shit like that, and it went well until I built my first big bore motor, hot cams, hot setup, powder coated the motor, powder coated everything, fully custom bike, right? That's when people were like, holy shit, Ricky's onto something. Like, his bikes look like nothing that's coming out of the area, nothing that's coming out of any of these shops. Most of the shops around Tampa is either a big wheel bagger shop or you know, some fucking mom and pop shop where it's like some dude with a ponytail and a handlebar mustache that's still stuck in the 60s talking about the fucking knuckleheads. I started doing my thing, performance oriented. That's why I named it Ricky HD Performance. I want it to be performance oriented, big bores, hot cams, fucking, you know, certain nuances. So for the M8, it's always gonna be like compensator deletes and, you know, the right oil pump, the right cam, the right everything. Because not all companies are the same, not all products are the same, not all cams are the same, not all lifters are the same. So I started putting out some bikes and people were fucking tripping. They're like, wow, dog, you're really doing a good job. So it grew and grew and grew from there. And I was like, man, the one thing I'm lacking is custom paint work. And there's some custom painters around the area, but either they want way too goddamn much, or they're just a fucking paint shop that does tribal and flames and shit. There's no like low rider fucking, like these panel paint jobs that have heavy flake and solid and just line work and all that shit. There's nobody doing it here. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna learn how to paint. Painted my front fender. People were like, oh, it's pretty good. Kept going and going and going and going. Had some people, I was like, yo, I'll do your fucking bike for $300 to practice. Had some bikes come in, $300, practicing, getting it down, learning curves from the weather to the spray patterns to what kind of gun to use to getting fucking oil and water, fucking separators, just everything that you had to learn. I fucking learned it. Started putting out some bikes and people were like, wow. Like this dude started fucking painting 2 months ago. He's building the fucking shit out of these bikes, painting them, customizing them all in one shop that is for the working man by a working man. You know what I mean? Blue collar for blue collar. I'm not out here to make a fucking $1 million off people. I'm not out here to spread my name and be some kind of fucking Arlen Ness. I'm simply here to make badass bikes for people that actually fucking ride.